Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
So, you've heard of the Wick Theatre, but that name isn't casual. It's because Marilyn Wick decided to start a theater, which was really not something that she ever had dreamt of doing because she is the costume world lady. So, Marilyn, welcome to the show, and let's talk about that.
Hi, Anita. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, Marilyn, you've always been an entrepreneur, a brave woman. You jump into things that you have no idea about, but somehow with your wonderful smile, your wonderful energy, it always works.
Yes, it works, and it has worked here, and it's been a success for the costume world and a success for the actors in the community and a real success for the community overall to feel that we can give this cultural center to the community, Boca Raton, that really desperately needs this for the young children in our community that are talented and involved in music and the theater world. This is a wonderful gift to be giving. And yes, it's been an extremely large learning curve. And now I think we got it down.
Yes, you do. And Marilyn she's an entrepreneur because she decided when she, many years ago, that she didn't have a business and she was struggling, a lot of us, but she decided to make these costumes that she would rent for Halloween and Christmas. You know, I heard your story when you spoke to the businesswomen, and I was just amazed at you. But now you're the largest costume company in the entire world. I don't know how that happens.
Well, let me tell you, hard work and determination and really loving what you were doing. I really started it as a home project on my dining room table with 5 Santa Claus suits. And my house was so happy from Thanksgiving to Christmas. I said to my 2 little ones, they were 10 and 11 years old. We've had such fun. I almost hate to see Christmas pass. And of course it did. And we had to put everything in the closet, never to think about it again until maybe next year we'd do it. But we made a little mistake accidentally. You know, some things are meant to be. And we put a little one-liner in the yellow pages and the phone kept ringing and ringing. And people were calling for Paul Revere. Paul Revere, I wonder what he looked like. And we were running around. It was so crazy. And I said, wow, there's really a business. So the following, in October, Halloween came. Well, I thought, we better get this down before Halloween or the phone will ring off the wall. We'll have to disconnect our phone. And sure enough, we started a little store on Powerline Road, 1 room, invested $10,000, had Halloween. We made $25,000. I said to the kids, give me back my 10. And they said, okay, Mom. And now I said, well, I guess this is what I'm going to be doing the rest of my life. And I do remember my mother saying, Anita, Marilyn, are you crazy? Do you realize how many costumes you have to really make a living? And I said, yes, but little by little, it'll all work out. So here, 40 years later, we are now the largest American musical wardrobers in the United States.
I didn't know it was 40 years. It sounds, you're so young, it can't possibly be that long. But Marilyn, what I admire about you, knowing the theater world a lot, is now the Caldwell Theater went down. And it wasn't enough for you to just kind of ride on your success with your costume shop. You said, I've been in the theater in a different way. Let me see what I can do. Now, you take it from here because it's 3 years, and it is so successful.
Well, let me tell you, it isn't that I was ever looking for a theater or wanted to go into the theater business, Anita. It was the fact that my museum that was on Powerline Road that had been so well received, in 2005, I bought the largest costume house in New York City. With that, I brought to South Florida treasures that were unbelievable, 15 semi-loads of original Broadway clothes. And as the boxes were open and we saw Elizabeth Taylor's wonderful jewelry from Cleopatra, and I said, oh, we can't rent that. And then here it is, Richard Burton's armor for Camelot. I said, well, we can't rent that either. Little by little, 42nd Street, the original works of 42nd Street, the show that we all remember the most, and then the national tour, the Broadway revival. We had 3 incredible sets of 42nd Street. I said, well, you know what? I think we better go through all this, which took a year and a half to unpack boxes, sort, and put them. We had them in a warehouse over in Powerline. And I thought, how will we pay the rent on this place? The wardrobe was so massive. Now, we already, Anita, I had already bought 7 other costume houses out and made them into Costume World stores. And I said, I don't know. We have so many clothes now, we'll never be able to keep this under control.
But so what you were literally doing when you first started is you would then rent these costumes to people who probably started just as locals. And then when people heard what you had, they contacted you from all over the country and world.
Right. Our first customer was Jan McCart, which everybody knows. And she had the Royal Palm Dinner Theater. And this is probably a funny story. And your audience should love this. She was doing The King and I wanted to really impress her. So I called New York and rented the original King and I clothes. 40 years later, I now own them. So I guess what comes around goes around, right? So, Anita, I would go into a city and buy a store, I would make it into a Costume World store. So, of course, we wound up having stores in Houston. We have stores in Dallas. We have stores in Pittsburgh. In the early 80s, I bought all the costume shops out from 80 to 81 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, oh, my heavens, I had 2 stores. So Pittsburgh really didn't have the market for 2 stores. Then all of a sudden, I had a store in Buffalo, New York. So we had Buffalo, Houston, Dallas. Then we opened up Austin. So we had all of these stores and all begging for theatrical work. That got the word out. They were like $5,000 to $6,000 facilities and square feet facilities. And then all the customers would come, the schools, and they would want Hello Dolly, Fiddler on the Roof for high school and educational theater all over the country. So this is actually how we started. Our love for high school and educational theater is absolutely the most important thing, I think, to make these young people have the right clothes. Then they look great, they feel better, and they perform better.
My guest is Marilyn Wick, who's founder and CEO of Costume World, Inc., an executive producer at the Wick Theatre and Costume Museum. So you've really heard what inspired Marilyn. I can imagine now, after you tell this story, how you would want to now be in the performance business, because you're having everything. You have this great personality. You know all these people all over the country. So now you decided, okay, so what did you tell your daughters?
Well, let me just tell you this quickly so I can close this one line of the story. We opened a museum on Powerline Road, and people came, and it was successful. But the city shut me down because I was in a warehouse zone, Anita, and I didn't have the right to assemble. So when the ladies would come for tea, we wanted to serve them something, entertain them a little, show them the clothes. It was a 25,000 square foot museum with all of these collectibles in it. We own 55 original Broadway works. It is the largest collection in the world in American musical theater. So when they closed me down, my youngest daughter, who's in real estate, who owns Lime Door Realty, she said, Mom, we'll find a place. You don't have to close the museum. We'll come to Boca and we'll find a place and it'll be fine. Well, then, of course, the Caldwell was closed. I had actually never really been to the Caldwell Theater.
And I had a lot.
and Anita had been there a lot. So, of course, I had my first experience, but it was locked up. And we went and looked at it. And I thought, wow, we could make the whole building into a museum. But then when I saw the stage and everything, I said, wait a minute.
Oh, my.
This is going to be a huge undertaking. So, of course, that's when it all started. And that's how it got to be.
Well, that story's great. I'm sure a lot of people have not heard this story. And I'm so pleased that you did it on our radio show. So, all right, Marilyn. So I have to tell you, I don't know how you did it. I know you did get the very best people to help you. But I must say, every time that curtain goes up and those people, the actors, come out and the dancing and the costumes, our mouths are open. Flies could come in our mouths and I watch everybody. I love to go there and watch what goes on. You have, you have created a magnificent entertainment vehicle here. We don't have anything like this in Boca. Nothing. And actually, other than the Broward Center and the Kravis Center and maybe the Arch, which are huge, and you don't get to see things as closely as you do at there's nothing else.
Yes. And this is why when I did the due diligence to buy this and to take this undertaking on so late in my business career, I should be retiring.
Forget it.
I will never be doing that.
That's right.
So I said, well, I went to the bank. I made them an offer. I said, let me lease it. And then they said no. And so we kind of forgot about it. And we were still looking. And then 3 months or 4 months later, they came back, sat down, talked with me. We made the deal. So I leased it with an option to buy, which was very nerve-wracking because I love to do things wonderful. And, I thought, Anita, should I put all brand new carpet? I'm only renting this place. If it doesn't work out, obviously the Caldwell couldn't make it here. I said, well, I'm going to change the programming and I'm going to make people happy. And I called around to some of the subscribers and they told me why they were unhappy with the Caldwell. And I thought, well, we got to change the programming. And of course, being in musical theater for all of these years, I put in hundreds and hundreds of shows across the country myself. I'm a costume designer. I'm a backdoor costume designer. I would do a show. I had all these young costume designers working for me, and we learned the trade so we could live and not kill ourselves because it could be extremely labor intense. So lo and behold, we got it down, and then so I knew all the best directors in the country. I knew all the best producers in the country because they were renting my clothes and using my garments, and I've seen many, many, hundreds and hundreds of shows. And when you do a production, you have to really study it. So I was halfway there. I really had, the look and image, sound, music, all has to go together. And the first show we did was Sound of Music. It was a huge success.
When I saw that, I have to say this. Is she kidding? How could she tackle the Sound of Music? And I remember being there, and Countess de Hornley was there, and she came in. She had a little chip on her shoulder because she had really funded the Caldwell, and she came in, and I know her, so I think I sat next to her, whatever, and she was sitting there. She was almost jumping out of her seat because, and that's hard for her because she's not, so spry now. She looked at this, and she said, "This is magnificent." And I knew you were going to get some money from her.
Oh, and God bless her for sure. Because there was moments when I thought, how are we going to make this turn? Because I love to do wonderful work. And I figured that if I was going to really impress these, I felt really bad for the Caldwell people. They had put $4.5 million into this. I would never even think to ask for any money until I could prove to them that this was going to be a viable place, that we were going to really have fabulous entertainment, and that it would be a complete look, and that they could enjoy the museum with tours and luncheons. We could have this fabulous dining experience.
You're jumping ahead. I want you to talk. Now, the one thing, though, I don't want to run out of time, and we'll talk about the restaurant, and if we don't get enough of it in, I'm going to have you come back, but let's talk about your next season because I really want people to subscribe. Well,
can I talk about Irving Berlin first?
Oh, yes. Please. That's so good.
Okay. So thank you, Anita. Our last show of the season is I Love a Piano, Irving Berlin's fabulous work. Irving Berlin lived to be 101 years old, and he wrote over 2,000 songs in his lifetime. And if music keeps you young and happy, obviously, he demonstrated all of that. This is a musical that starts and runs about an hour and 35 minutes. It gives you 60 songs of the best songs of Irving Berlin. The choreography, there's 65 costume changes in this show.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know how your actors, your singers, your dancers can get in and out of those costumes so fast. I mean, that's really amazing.
We timed it and practiced, and we got it down. And, clothes are all rigged, so they work. And they know how much I love these costumes. In the designer run, there's always a designer run before the show opens, and the producer is invited to sit down and watch. I must tell you, I was so set back myself of how they got those clothes off and on. My crew is so fabulous. The support staff at the Wick Theatre is to be commended. They work so hard. And to keep the budgets down, everybody crosses over. We dual jobs so we don't have the huge payroll, so that we can afford people like Leroy Reams and wonderful, talented people, Broadway people, and to expose the local artistry here to have some of this talent. So they're working with them. They get to know them, and they're polishing up their skills during this time. You hire a good director, everybody learns.
I want to give a phone number so you can order those tickets. You want to see this. It goes until when?
It goes until May 15th. We have 14 performances left.
Okay. You want to go see it. It is so inspiring. My husband was dancing on his way to the car, and being a 92-year-old person, those songs were so perfect for him. So I have to say, anybody, any age, but for the older crowd, you are going to love this. The phone number is 561-995-2333, 995-2333, or you can always go online and you can order them at
The Wick.
Oh, yeah, here, I don't have that. The Wick.
TheWick.org.
Okay, thewick.org. Okay, I got that now.
And remember...
I see. Thewick.org or costumeworld.com.
Right. And remember, Mother's Day is on Sunday, and we have an incredible brunch. Starts at 11. It's a wonderful day. You can come and have brunch in the lobby, and we have and the menu's online, and then you can come and see the show, and we do still have tickets. Now, wonderful Mother's Day gift.
Chef
Don't forget
William,
Mom.
I have to get him on the show, too. I know he's so busy, but you really got yourself something fantastic. Now, this is unusual to have a restaurant. It's a cafe. It's gorgeous as part of a theater. And the food and the environment is just spectacular. So you can have, when you go there normally, you could have lunch, you can have dinner. But the Sunday, be able to take Mother there, have it all together, forget buying gifts. Just take her there, and then see the wonderful show. The restaurant is another big story, and I don't know if we don't have too much time to talk about that.
Well, we'll just tell you that it is the restaurant is the Tavern on the Wick. I went to the auction at the Tavern on the Green, bought the chandelier in the lobby with my credit card. It was so damn funny. And then my daughter, we bought the dishes, silverware, linens. We had so much fun setting it all up. And I
didn't know that all that came from the tavern also.
Yes. And we have Leroy's clothes, the owner. We have some of his clothes on display. And it really is a historical setting. If you loved, so many people come here from New York. They've all had special occasions there. I've had some ladies come in and look at that chandelier and start to cry. My husband and I got married there. That was such a fabulous place. I can't believe this is so beautiful.
Well, I remember seeing the gates when they had the big museum, outside the Orange Gates by Cristo, and we then went into it was so crowded you could hardly get in there. So I didn't really appreciate that so much until you then did what you did with it. It was very clever because nobody wanted the tavern to go down in New York. That was sad.
And of course, we would love to have more space, but now that we own the building, only 3 days.
Well, let's not tackle that yet. Let's keep doing what you're doing. So I'll tell you what I've said to Marilyn, which is really true. We do go to a lot of theater. We go to a lot of cultural events. And when it's over, it's over. You go home. Mm-hmm. But not there. What you do is you congregate in the beautiful, elegant lobby. She didn't tell you what she had to do to make this place look like you're in a beautiful mansion. And you sit there and you have your entertainers. And so that's I don't know if people really tell you how important that is.
Well, they have told me because some nights we don't have it. And they've told me. What we wanted to do and what we're trying to do is establish another resource to help pay. Of course, this is a 30,000 square foot building, and all of these entities make the theater work. So we don't want to relive not having this place. We have to make every square foot of this space work. And that is what entertainment is about. You come, you can have dinner at 5, then you see a show. After the show, you sit down in the cabaret, have a little dessert, a nice coffee. The actors come out, they want to meet you and greet you. And it's kind of old-fashioned theater. They used to do this in other theaters around. Regional theaters do this around the country. And I think because the theater setting, there's 344 seats, and it's an intimate place, and you have a sense of belonging, and that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find my patrons. I want to know what they want. That's important to me. And I like this old music myself because I'm not a young chick, but I love the things that make us feel good. When you get up, you're older, you should be getting up and feeling good. I mean, this is all about, we're here in South Florida. The sun is shining every day. This is happiness. This is what makes people happy. Something to do that you can enjoy yourself. So,
and I don't want you not to tell everybody so they can drool about your next season.
Okay, let me tell you about the next season, folks. Listen up. They're playing our song starring Andrea McArdle. Now, you guys know who she was. She was the first Annie on Broadway. And, of course, this is a Neil Simon work, and it's a story about Marvin Hamlish and his lover, Carol Sage. And it is a fabulous, fabulous musical. You will love the songs, and, of course, now he is gone, and these songs you're going to know all of them for sure. Then, of course, next we do Sister Act. Of course, this is the New York Post said it's ridiculously funny. Of course, it's about a girl that is under the witness protection, and she goes to a nunnery, and they try to save her. And the Mother Superior, it's so funny. You will love it. You'll be dancing in the streets when you leave that. Then, of course, the show that on my survey that everyone wanted so desperately bad, and it was a hard decision to make because Actors Playhouse had done it this year, was West Side Story. You know, it's one of the most memorable musicals and the greatest love story ever. So West Side Story, you can't go wrong. Then Guys and Dolls, a classic. I own all the original Broadway clothes and all the revival. So you're going to get to see all those fabulous gangster suits. And, of course, this is a toe-tapping delight all the time. Wonderful dancing, wonderful singing, and you'll know all the songs to that, I'm sure. And, of course, it took place in 1940 in Times Square. All right, and then, of course, my last show, and I really picked this one because I think it's wonderful to end with a review. It's Beehive. If you haven't seen it, it's the 1960 musical, Beehive, and it has the Supremes, Tina Turner. You will know all the songs, and all the ladies can wear their old the Beehive. Get out your costumes. 1960, great look. Where the Boys Are, Downtown, Proud Mary. You'll remember those songs. And that is the season. Now, let me tell you quickly what's going to happen this summer. Well, we start off next Thursday having our first murder mystery dinner. So if you're interested in that, it starts at 6:30, and at 7 o'clock is reception. Call the box office. It's a murder mystery dinner. You will love it, and we'll find out who did it. And, of course, then we're going to have on Saturday nights, we're going to have Italian night, a wonderful, wonderful sit-down opera dinner. Opera stars will be singing around you. You will be having garlic bread, Italian salad, wonderful family-style meals will be set up. So if you don't want to cook one night, come to the Wick on Saturday and have a wonderful evening of opera. And then, of course, every Sunday, we're going to have Summer Sunday Brunch. And this will be musical theater, Rodgers and Hammerstein, wonderful work. People will be singing and entertaining you while you're having your Sunday brunch. How could you possibly go wrong? Now, Friday night, we're trying to have a cabaret where after dinner, know that the Wick is open. You can come and get entertained there. And all of this will be posted on the website. And if you don't have a website, then just call the box office and we'll mail off to you the entertainment. Now, why are we doing this? Because the theater, we do have a couple things that we're trying to plan for actual productions. And they're going to be four short musical interesting things, like a Western night, a 60s night. Just music so the place can stay open, because we are doing the master plan. Now that I've purchased the building, we have to do some serious renovation. Now listen up. If you've been to the Wick Theatre, you'll be happy about this. I'm going to put rails inside the auditorium at the end of the aisles so that when you get up and you're walking across, you can grab onto a rail before you have to make that step. I'm very worried about the patrons falling down the steps. And so we're going to put a new rail system in. We also will be working on the fly loft, which is the stage and how we get our scenes in and out. So we're at 19 feet now. We need to be at 33. So that will be an undertaking. And we are working on live music. We need money to put a music pit in. It's very expensive, costs about $250,000. And I've come up with another concept that I'm working on, where off the light side, we would be putting a glass thing, and you will be sitting there, and you can see the music, the orchestra.
I have said to Marilyn many times, how do you sleep at night? There's no possibility, the inventions. Marilyn, we've just run out of time, and I have to tell you that I have to have you back again. You are so wonderful. She did this without notes. She's so full of vigor. Marilyn, I'm so pleased to know you and to see what you've done. Phone number to call, 561-995-2333. 561-995-2333. thewick.org, or go to costumeworld.com. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Anita. Please, people, if you really want to be entertained, bring your guests and friends and come to the Wick Theatre. We need 5,000 subscribers. We're at 3,000 now.
You'll make it.
We got to make it. We got to make it. So thank you so much. And count on me. We can't do it. Remember, there was a famous saying, you can't have a show without an audience.
Okay, we'll do it again. Thanks.